Welcome to the Purr Play Sip Podcast. If you're just now subscribing to us and you happen upon us, this is a podcast all about adoptions, cats, shelters, cat cafe. So my name is Chuck Patton. I am the proprietor of Perfect Day Cafe. And what I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about today is something very, very real. I never heard about it until I actually started this, but it's called compassion fatigue. Likely if you are in the industry of some sort of nonprofit, something where you are helping other people within the community, this is a real thing. And basically, what I find is a concept like a cat cafe, in our case, Perfect Day Cafe. We're out of Louisville, Kentucky, and we have one in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, at Covington. And the people that I kind of attract, or that this concept kind of attracts, are people, two parts about them. Number one, they're very emotional, right? And that's in a good way. I always tell people all the time, your best trait is your worst trait, right? So being emotional is not a bad thing, but it is absolutely, is my mic on? Yeah. It is absolutely a part of being able to get through your day, right? Like if you are out there helping people, the emotion is what drives you. The other part of a lot of people who are emotional like this is approval is a big deal. Like that is what they are driven for, including a little piece of me as well too, is that I want to make people happy. I want that to happen. And when things don't go our way and when we aren't able to help, or quite frankly, in today's post-COVID world, when people are just angry and mean, it crushes people like that. And that is where compassion fatigue comes in. So in our world, again, what we're doing is it's this business is an industry disruptor. So essentially what you've had in years past is during the kitten season or really just throughout the year, someone finds a super sweet cat. They don't have room for him. They want to bring him to the shelter. And then the shelter spayed or neuters them, give them all their shots, make sure they're okay, and then gets them adopted. The problem is, depending on where you live, the adoptions don't take place as quickly as the intake take place. So if you are a vet tech, if you are a shelter tech, some of the veterinarian, at one point I had even heard someone tell me, it was a veterinarian for the Kentucky Humane Society here, said that the veterinarian profession is one of the highest suicide rates out there. And I gotta think it, again, kind of comes from this compassion fatigue. It's people who not only drive themselves from emotion, but they're driving themselves to help others. And when they can't help others, when there's a death of a cat, a death of a dog, these are such difficult pieces for those folks to handle. The very thing that drives them is the very thing that can sink them at the same time, and the very thing that can wreck them. And so if you are at a cat cafe, again, it's such an amazing culture. I mean, I've heard people say this is better than Disney World. My favorite is actually a middle-aged man that kind of said, oh my gosh, this place is so great. It's like the waiting room right before you get to heaven. So I love all those statements. It is such a happy place, but it's not always happy when things go wrong. They don't go wrong that often. They don't. And I'm really looking forward. My next podcast is going to be about not being a good fit for adopting. Do not adopt. I'm going to probably do some sort of shock statement that makes you all subscribe and click on it. But at the end of the day, I've got Rosemary Cundiff Brown. She is my general manager here, right-hand person. She has been with the organization now since we started 4.5 years ago. Really, she had been here for 5. And she's going to share with you how you're not a good fit for adopting. And I would tell you that theirs is probably our biggest example. And we're going through it right now. We want to grow. We want to help out as many cats as we possibly can. And then what we ended up doing is gnawing on each other. And that's what happened this past week. And we're on edge, right? We want to do the best. We want to do as many adoptions as we can. We want to help the shelter partners. We want approval, right? And if you know Rosemary specifically, like she's an entertainer. Her voice is amazing. Robert is a comedian. They love helping people, being out there, being out front. But when we can't, it is difficult. And one in every, I don't know, maybe 100 adoptions is somebody who should not have adopted. Giving you kind of a window into it, I had somebody that was very upset. They're angry at all different types of people. The adoption wasn't done correctly. And finally, I sat down with a person and they returned the kitty, and that's okay. That's okay. But they basically were upset with every single person out there about how things weren't done right. We weren't informed about this, et cetera, et cetera. And then I finally got down to the brass tacks and I asked them, can you have a cat in your condo? And the answer was no. I'm not allowed to have a cat. I didn't do it right. And all of this ancillary things were somebody just basically venting, and because they felt guilty. And I get that. I'm okay with that. I can totally understand in that situation, but they felt guilty. And instead of just saying, I feel guilty, I'm not allowed to have this cat, can I give it back to you? Instead, it kind of became, let's take a bunch of people down with them. And that to our team is devastating. They don't want to do, like they just want these cats to get great homes. And they just want to make an impact on their community. And then they, of course, want the shelters to be emptied. So compassion fatigue is a big deal. And one of the things that I'm encouraging everybody, and hopefully you've seen this from other retail outlets, just be nice. Talk it through. We're all in this together. There can be reversed out. We can give money back. We can host you again if it was not the right experience. We want the feedback. Most people do. But whatever you do, be understanding that some people, the why in their world is to please. It's to a degree to get approval, and they want that approval. They want to help people. And, I think that's an amazing thing to be able to do. What was it? P.T. Barnum's, it is nothing better in life than making someone happy. And that's what we're really wanting to do here. We're wanting this to be an amazing experience. We understand the levity of the situation. I mean, you have a situation where you are adopting a forever friend for the next 15, 18, 20 years. And we understand that that's a very serious decision to make. But at the same time, all of these kitties that you're doing, you're rescuing. And as much as we want to control the world, as much as you want to control the world, it does not get controlled. Mother Nature, God, whatever religious denomination. And here's Kitty for you. Let me show you. This is the Nurturing and Fostering Center. And yes, this cat's name is Kitty. So this is an adult cat. We have an upstairs room here where we have adults while we're in the middle of kitten season. So Kitty is an amazing, sweet cat and has already been adopted and waiting to go home. And these are the things that just warm our hearts. We might have feline leukemia cat. We might have cats with special needs, three-legged cats. We have 2 one-eyed cats in Louisville just looking to find a home. They're wonderful cats. They're actually brother and sister, I believe. And that's what we really want to make happen. Shelters will have this happen. Somebody will come in there and yell. It's only one, again, it's 1 in 100. But that destroys someone who is in the shelter world, who's in the adoption world, or in the cat cafe world. It is called compassion fatigue. So I'm sure some of you all that are listening to this, you're either thinking of starting a cat cafe, you're wanting to go to one, you've been here and kind of want us to pull back the curtains of what goes on in here. We try to make sure that we put on an amazing show, like literally making sure that this is the greatest show. But at the end of the night, we know that we have cats that have uber diarrhea. We've had one cat die here, ended up being an intestinal issue. The intestines got so roped up, it looked like upper respiratory, but it wasn't. That was devastating. The employee had to go home. It was here. And that's why what I always say, if you're looking to start a cat cafe, or if you want some hints on how the business model works, you have to have a strong heart, and a strong back. And there's so many people that get into this, and the reason why they get into it is because they love cats. And I tell people, this isn't about that. This is about them. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you can do for them. And, it's hard. It's hard work. It's difficult, and it can really break some people. And we want to do better. So we've level set on our side as well, too, and said it's important that we just keep and maintain this amazing experience for folks, and also understand that we're going to run into some scenarios where people are not a good fit for adoptions. Again, what we're going to talk about next. Or they're just not nice people. And we need to figure out just to say politely, here's your money back. Goodbye. You're not a good fit for us. And I tell my staff, do you believe in what it is that you do? Do you believe in what our mission is and how we're going about this? And they say, I absolutely do. And my response back to them is, then it's a problem you need to explain to yourself. That's what I'm saying. It's your problem that you need to explain yourself. If you believe in it that much, you should have the confidence in yourself not to have to explain that. By the way, I stole that from Moneyball. I love baseball. It's a big passion of mine, but it's a problem. You believe in what it is that this plan is. It's a problem you have to explain to yourself. And when I say it's a problem, it's something you have to work on. So that's what we're coaching our team to do, is when someone's nasty about declaw, when someone doesn't want to pay money in order to get inside of there. And of course, we go out of business if you don't pay money in order to do an entry fee. Every cat cafe works like that. I just tell them, you guys got to stay confident in the impact that you're making, stay confident in helping out Miss Kitty here. We did 40 adoptions last week in Covington and 40 in Cincinnati, in Louisville, which is the first time we've matched each other on here. So anyway, we hope this helps you out. If you are, out there, you're in a charitable organization, you're looking at a cat cafe, I would tell you one of the harder things is that the staff that you have here are going to be emotional. They're going to be passionate about what it is that they do. But that is going to be their best trait, and that is going to be the worst trait. Same with me. That's why you have to have a strong back and not just a giving hand or a big heart. And so be prepared for that. You can see shadows behind me. We got an event going on up here. But we appreciate everything that you guys are doing. Again, help us to share, help us to expand our footprint. What our goal was here is we were doing so many adoptions at 2 locations. We wanted to be able to have a digital presence that kind of got out in front of any other further expansions that we do. We have some in mind, but we're not going to do that until the team is ready and until you guys are ready. But you guys can help us out there by sharing, telling everybody about this, subscribing it on there. The other model that we're trying to do here is to build an additional revenue source. So it's not all depending on whether or not people come into the Cat Cafe. We feel as if we can share this message and we can build revenue sources that will ultimately help us to be able to expand, help more cats, help more shelters, and build a community around which all animal lovers can join and make an impact. So again, thank you all so much. Subscribe and like, and I look forward to sharing more ideas with you and more impact and more ways that you can help. Thanks so much.